Alright, what's going on, guys? Got a breakdown for UFC 268, trying to get ahead of the curve here. This one's going to be on November 6th, Madison Square Garden. The much-awaited rematch, Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington 2, welterweight championship. Gonna be awesome. So, yeah, just trying to get ahead of the curve. I like this card for betting a lot. I've already done a lot of research on it, so I hope to have pretty much all the videos for this card done over the course of the month so that by the time that card comes up, I could just use that entire week to just continue getting ahead of the curve. So, yeah, that's the game plan. But we got this fight to break down right now. And so Usman's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage. And I will start with Usman. So Usman, what I like, is definitely the most active champion. Number one pound for pound. I totally agree. I've thought he was number one pound for pound since Khabib retired. I thought it was definitive. I thought he was the definitive number two, even when Khabib was still around. I think you just look at the dominance for Usman and just he's tough to solve, man. He's got the highest quality opponent quality in terms of title defenses, and he's very active. He just gets better and better too. Been training with Trevor Whitman, and you see the results. That power jab is insane. Gilbert Burns had a ton of problems with it. He got stunned by Gilbert, but just took over with that power jab, ended up knocking him out. And it just looks like Usman's striking has evolved for sure. I'd say if you look at the first Colby fight, he had more of like a Muay Thai type base, but he seems to be he's kind of more bouncy, kind of gets his shoulders into his shots more, just moves a little bit better, and sets shit up really well. So yeah, the striking has definitely evolved with Kamaru Usman. Really capitalizing on that last time, gets the knockout against Jorge Masvidal. After the first one, just kind of stomped on his foot for the whole 25-minute main event. I left in the fourth round of that shit. That was really boring. But yeah, Usman has put uh, the snoozman talk. Definitely put that to bed with that insane knockout against Jorge. And yeah, just hard not to say anything bad about. I mean, hard to say anything bad about Usman's game. He's definitely the most complete fighter in the UFC right now, and he won the first fight with Colby, and he's fought 3 times since. That's the difference between these guys. Colby's only fought 1 time, but yeah, the quality of opponents is just crazy for Usman. But the first one, back and forth war. Neither guy looked to wrestle because they're both probably the two best wrestlers in the division, and that's usually how it goes, just all striking. I think if somebody was going to try to mix in a takedown in this one, I think it would probably be Usman. Maybe Colby, though, just to, because he lost the first fight, might have to mix something up. I think Colby's going to try to just do the same game plan, just try to overwhelm him. But, yeah, Usman definitely landed the heavier shots, even if Colby had a little bit higher output. Usman definitely kept up with the output, though. He strategizes well for his opponents. You got to keep up the output against Colby. And also, Usman did very good mixing it up better. He had some great work to the body, great body shots in that fight. Colby was headhunting a little bit. And, yeah, I think the body work was great for Usman. Um, but, yeah, first fight was a war, man. If you ask my opinion on it, I would say Colby won the first round. I would give the second round to Colby as well. It was a little bit closer. They're all close. There's no definitive round. I think the most definitive round, I don't know if it was 3 or 4, but I think Usman won the most definitive round in the fight. There was one round where Usman just clearly seemed to win. But yeah, really, really close fight. I would say Usman definitely won the fifth before he got the stoppage, but it was that broken jaw really gave Colby problems, led to the stoppage. And yeah, I do think, man, if the jawbreak didn't happen, I think Colby was going to steal that one. I think he was going to just have higher output in the fifth. He still came in there looking to do damage in the fifth, but it's just you can only take so many shots off that, and he got dropped and got finished. I think the stoppage was fine. Colby disagrees with the stoppage. I think it was fine. I think it deserved to be stopped. Phantom Nutshot Gate, totally real, by the way, but at the same time, Colby had Phantom Eye Poke in the fourth round. So I don't think fake nut shot really saved Usman, but when you got that game plan where you're trying to break your opponent, an extra minute to rest could be a game changer. But again, I don't think it's fair to say that Usman was on the way to getting stopped before the fake nut shot. I think that's unfair. But yeah, for Colby, Um, Only one fight since the Usman fight. It was he fought Tyron Woodley. Finally got his opportunity against Woodley after angling for it for years. Most of the time when Woodley had the belt, but yeah, just pretty much dominates him. Classic Tyron Woodley, just backing up into a corner, just getting dominated, taken down, and Woodley got hurt in the fifth round. Ref stopped it. Um, and yeah, so pretty dominant win for Colby there. The knock on Colby is that people try to say that he doesn't have good wins. I think it's just you can't look at it that way. Like, yeah, all these guys, his last three wins for Usman are all on the downside of their career. But you know, 2017 he beat Damian Maya, RDA not really a welterweight, and Robbie Lawler clearly on the way out. I don't think he really has anything left in the tank. But I mean, these fights were all a couple years ago. These guys were better than they are now, I think. Maybe with the exception of RDA. RDA might be the same, but I think Maya was better. I think Lawler was better, but I think they're also just tough matchups for Colby. There's just also not a lot. There wasn't a lot of like clear competition at that point. So welterweight's gotten a little better, but I don't think that the knock that that Colby hasn't been active enough. I don't think it's fair. I think he did enough in that first fight to warrant a rematch after getting the win over Woodley. Burns got the title shot with a win over Woodley. Like that's just you gotta look at the state of the division at certain times. You can't look at it now and just say, oh well, Colby hasn't beaten this guy. Well, it's like nobody has, and Leon Edwards not very active, not very marketable. Gilbert Burns had that like do nothing win over Stephen Thompson, snoozer, where Burns just did a little bit more, got the W. There's just no clear contender. I think Colby deserves this fight, but yeah, Colby, I would compare him to Nate Diaz stylistically. There's only one Nate Diaz, but I guess what I'm trying to say is just that relentless, just jab in your face, nonstop, try to break you type game plan. That's what he tried to do against Usman, but Usman handled it. But it was a war, and that's the thing, man. Like people, especially with a guy like Colby who's very political, they try to let that shit influence their opinion on the fight, and you can pick up on it all the time. Like people just kind of buy into the whole thing that Colby's just a clown. He's not serious. I think that's part of the whole gimmick. He tries to make you think he can't fight. He totally can. He trains very hard. Not an American top team anymore. I think he got kicked out, but yeah, Colby is very hard worker, and I don't think that the inactivity is going to be a problem. I think when you're at this level, like this is the fight game. Like you don't need to be fighting all the time. Like you can be training all the time, getting better, especially when you're focusing on one opponent. And it's an evolved opponent. Usman evolves every time. I'm sure they're gonna come in with a very smart game plan for this one because they always do. That's part of the reason why Usman is so good. He's one of the smartest, if not the smartest fighter in terms of fight IQ. Never underestimates anybody. Comes in with a good game plan every time, and a hard worker in his own right. But yeah, Colby definitely deserves to be here. I think Colby's the best non-champion in the whole UFC, in my opinion. Um, and that might be high praise because there's some killers in lightweight. I think you'd definitely say Dustin Poirier. Maybe deserves that title a little bit more. Also Cyril Gane, but you get the point. He's in the same tier as those types of guys, and yeah, I think that this fight is going to be a war again. I think it's going to be very similar. And I don't think that Usman's power has evolved the way people think. I think if you go back and watch the first fight with Colby, um, the power was there. It's just like I said, he's definitely evolved it, but I don't think that Usman has just suddenly become like a killer. He is a killer, but I don't think his power has gotten just next level over the last year and a half, like people seem to think. I think it's always been there, and I think that Colby has felt his power. So I don't think Usman's just gonna go in there and starch him, but that is what happens sometimes in these highly touted rematches where you're just you can't wait for it. I've been waiting for this fight since the first one ended, and I'm just trying to not get my hopes up for it. Like just kind of trying to do the Lou Holtz mentality. Just be like, oh, we'll see what happens, and then hopefully it's a war again. But yeah, I do think that's the way it's gonna go. I think either it's gonna be a war again or Usman wins early. But here's the thing, man. You look at the betting line on this. I think it's pretty wild. I think Usman is a 3-1 favorite. I just think there's no betting value on that. And again, I totally agree. Usman number one pound for pound. Usman's a monster. Usman's been getting better. He evolves. He fights tough opponents. All valid. I just can't see how you could bet on Kamaru Usman as a 3-1 favorite. Like you must be super confident, and I just can't get behind that. I do think the fight is a coin toss, but when the value is like this, I think that Colby has to be the betting play, and I am gonna make a play on Colby, at least 1 or 2 units, and then I usually like to use fights like this, like plus 245. That's a solid. Like I like to make those little parlays, like $5 to win like 400. I hit those more often. Like I mean, I don't hit those like every time, but you need to hit a certain percentage of them, and I definitely go over. So this is a nice fight for those types, just like, low risk, high reward type deal. And then props, Usman by knockout, probably your best bet. Plus 155. That sucks if you ask me. Plus 190 for points, a little better, but I just don't think there's a definitive method. Double chance is minus 260. Usman by KO or on points, which I think is the best bet, minus 260. If you just want to cover your ass completely and go KO or submission, I mean, have at it, plus 115. I don't think there's any point, but yeah, man, just the betting line is pretty goofy in this one, if you ask me. I think there's a lot of value on Colby. And I just, you know, when I see people try to say that Usman just dominated the first fight, that he won 4 rounds or just some bullshit like that, like, come on, man. Like, I already know what your political affiliation is just by you saying that, because just watch the fight. It was not a domination by any stretch. And you could say that Usman was landing the heavier shots for sure. He definitely was. I think Usman, again, just fought a little bit better fight only because he mixed it up more. But yeah, it was close, man. And if the fight's a coin toss and you can get one guy at plus 245, you got to go with that. So can't wait for this one. Thanks for watching, guys. Sure, subscribe and take it easy.